Just want them to catch a message. Through the pain, through the hurt. Just want them to catch a message. Keep on hustling, putting work. Just want them to catch a message. Stand tall and fight back. Let them know you ain't gotta live like that. Catch a message. Through the pain, through the hurt. Just want them to catch a message. Keep on hustling, putting work. Just want them to catch a message. Stand tall and fight back. Let them know you ain't gotta live like that.
I look around like where the good times at. I just wanna bring the good times back. And if the good die young, why am I still alive? Maybe I deserve that fact. And the stars only shine when the dark comes. Got me thinking about where I got my start from. We the new breed, who are we? We the lost ones. We the generation that embrace it like an art form. Here we go. And if we sitting in a tight spot, then you in the right spot. Man, I swear to God, I've been there. One shot like stop. Shot on a lot of homies that were here and they vanished in the thin air. Yeah, it's like a roll of the dice. Pay the ultimate price. So do you stand up and fight? Do you throw in the side and say, I'm out, I'll stand tall and prepare for the fight of your life. See me, I still battle with a...
Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to Saturday Morning Survivor Series. Survivor Series is a product of No More Heroin 501c3, and we showcase inspirational testimonies of people who have overcome seemingly insurmountable odds to have and live a life of purpose and destiny. And today is no different. We have a phenomenal guest for you today, Jason LaChance from Knockin Doorz Down. Before I introduce Jason, I want to share a clip from an interview Jason did with Charlie Sheen, one of many celebrities that are vocal about their recovery. And it's just amazing that people that are in that type of situation want to be vocal about their struggles with addiction. And I'm working this out here. Let's go. Bam.
You know, I got in deep into this absolute pepper. Does that still make that? The hot vodka, spicy vodka.
Yeah,
I don't make that now.
I don't know.
They must.
It's been over a year, so I couldn't tell you.
I was needing, you know, amounts that would kill normal people.
Sure,
we all know.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there was a big water glass. And I hit it pretty good. I actually downed it, and I'm sitting there and I'm waiting. And I'm looking for that thing, and it wasn't there. And I remember, and I was alone, and I was like, okay, well this is suddenly hopeless, because I'm never going to feel that again, but I'm also never going to stop doing that again. And those moments existed in the same place, and it was like, and I've never been suicidal, you know, right. Just. Luckily, you know, that's one thing, you know, that wasn't woven into my quilt.
This interview is phenomenal. You guys, if you get the opportunity, check out Knockin Doorz Down on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Follow my man here, Jason LaChance. Jason, thank you for being here, brother.
Oh, thank you, Higgy and Amanda. Pleasure to meet you. This has been too long coming, my brother. I mean, geez, we talked via text almost every day now, which I love. And at many moments, you have one of those magical things where I'm just like, and that message comes through and the smile comes back on. So it's good to see your face.
Thank you, bro. Same. I would like to introduce my co-host, Amanda Marker from the Pain to Purpose platform. She's a recovery coach, health and wellness, fitness guru. She's doing a lot of amazing things and supports all pathways to recovery, as do I. So I think that's very important, and I'm grateful for her to be here. I'm grateful for her friendship, her mentorship, and guidance coming out of a difficult time in my life as well. And I want to tell you guys something about my man Jason. Last year, he reached out to me to do an interview, and I was just straight up honest. I was coming back from relapse. I wasn't in a good place. And he didn't judge me. He supported me. He shared things about himself, and he made it okay for me to be me. The transparency piece, you know, because lying is second nature to me, and to make myself feel and look better, you know, I've lied in the past, and he made it okay. That just speaks volumes for the type of person he is. Can you, Jason, can you please run down your platforms and what each one is about, so folks can know that you have that going on for you. Powerful platforms.
Sure. Knockin Doorz Down, of course,
Oops.
recovery, mental health. I mean, we've had the variety of conversations with people. I was thinking about it this morning. A lady, Casey Johnson, she was at Columbine, one of our early guests and one of the survivors. And so we've just, that's what Knockin Doorz Down is about. It's about not only surviving, thriving, and of course, as me in recovery, connecting with so many people in the recovery community, brought the next opportunity that Parents and Addicts in Need. We are a nonprofit, PAIN, in Fresno, California, and primarily we are a leader in the fentanyl opioid crisis going on right now. We work very hand in hand, not only with legislation, but law enforcement and everything else to really, I mean, gosh, I talk about how many, the pandemic, and not to shed light, we lost so many people, but what's going on now with fentanyl overdoses and just overdoses in general, heartbreaking. So with Parents and Addicts in Need, we do have a podcast as well called Don't Hide the Scars. And I just love podcasting, so I needed to do something fun, and I'm a huge Motley Crue fan, so I do a podcast all about Motley Crue, kind of a behind the baseball type deal called CrueCast. So it's just fun, and connecting with different people that are Motley Crue fans, work for or have worked with Motley Crue, and do that. But it's kind of my release away from it, because sometimes doing this platform, we can get overwhelmed. I'm an emotional guy. I'm a sensitive guy. So I need something where I can, talk about one of the most infamous bands, which ironically with, Nikki Sixx, little kid, being my hero, him sober, meeting him while I have been through the recovery process, pretty cool. So it's kind of a weird full circle thing for me.
Absolutely. So everybody, if you're not seeing the live button up here, you're catching the replay. If you're watching live, please drop a hashtag live. If you catch the replay, drop a hashtag replay. Let us know where you're watching from. So Jason, take us for a walk down memory lane. Where did you come from? What type of background put you on the path to where you are today?
Boy, Higgy, long lineage of addiction in my family. I have two uncles that aren't here directly to their addiction. Alcoholism primarily on my mom's side, although several of my family members, my mom's siblings, struggled with drugs and alcohol. And then my dad's side, pills, alcohol, and sex and love addiction. My dad and I have had our conversations about that. My dad, who's very open about his recoveries, over 20 years sober. So I grew up in the house of addiction. My dad primarily methamphetamines, although alcohol was present. I don't really remember seeing my dad get drunk, maybe a couple of hangovers, but definitely those come downs or disappearances from the methamphetamines. And then, of course, like I said, the sex and love addiction. Pornography was incredibly prevalent in my youth. It was readily available, and I'm talking 6, 7, 8 years old, which I was exposed to that at a very early age, and I had an instance of molestation that, per my recollection, is between 6 and 7. It gets a little bit hazy. But so this has been a long lineage that has existed on both sides of my family, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Were there any? Can you look back and see any activating events that caused you to fall into the addiction trap?
Yeah. I'm a late bloomer just in everything. I just am. I didn't really start taking off with really, really abusing alcohol probably until about 26, 27. Hey, college kid, did I get drunk? Did I puke? Yes, I did all those, but it wasn't a frequent thing. I was not always a binger. But as I entered, kind of my brain reached maturation, I think a lot of those things came to the surface. And being as someone that also works, their sex and love addiction. Primarily my thing was pornography, although I was not the best of boyfriend throughout. Not that I was a big cheater, but I definitely was the guy that had the next person lined up pretty quickly once something started to go bad, or I wasn't getting my rush or the feelings that I wanted, So was in a very tumultuous relationship, and that really started to trigger a lot of those things. And that was my downward spiral. And I say that not as a victim. I say that as I think my brain was finally starting to want to understand all the traumas, especially my dad, which we were not close until I started to get late 20s, early 30s. Fatherhood started for me, that we really started to reconcile a lot of stuff. So I've journaled about it. I'm like, boy, I really wanted to understand my dad. And, it led me down that path. And I don't know if you've done any of those weird filters where they age you. I did one that put a beard and gray hair, and I'm like, oh my God, I look just like my dad,
Yeah.
So it's
the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right?
No.
I am checking the comments here as people are commenting. I'm throwing them up on the screen. Jason's unable to see them unless I put them up on the screen. If you would, y'all, please drop a hashtag KDD, Knockin Doorz Down. And watching your podcast on YouTube and listening to it, the intro is so similar to the intro for this. It's like we're on adjacent paths headed in the same direction. It's just it's an amazing thing to connect with other people in recovery, and thanks to the World Wide Web, here we are, talking about recovery, trying to give people hope and inspiration, and that's all we really want out of this. And you have such a busy schedule that I just want to. I am so grateful that you've taken the time to do this. Great, another podcast.
Wow, this is fun. Are you kidding?
I really appreciate you being here. What part of the country are you from?
Well, I was born in a little town, well, not little anymore, but Salinas, California, which is near Monterey. And then where I live now, I'm about an hour north of Fresno, California. Small community, Merced County here. So. But a county in need of this. I mean, that's it's prevalent. The education level for it and resources, in my view, are very limited.
Absolutely. I mean, we are past the point where awareness is needed. Yep. We're to the point where solutions need to be implemented, and more resources out there for people in need, parents in need. On my platform, I have a wide spectrum of people. There's addicts, alcoholics, there's people that struggle with gambling, sexual addiction, trauma. We got parents of addicts, people that aren't in recovery that just look for some hope in the things that you and I post, and just looking for proof that they can find their way out of hell. And that's so rewarding to be able to share that hope, and we're a unique population because we showcase our darkest times in our lives, which have become our greatest assets in my view. I love looking back, my journey through an abusive home. A lot of the things that you touched on in your childhood were just very present in my life as well. I started real young with sex and drugs and alcohol, and once it started out as curiosity for me, but sure. then it became a necessity, and using at a young age, I didn't know who I was to begin with. So here I am. I'm just this faded kid trying to be a class clown and just disappear,
Yeah. We did. It was, I don't know about you guys, but for me, that was the toughest thing to come out and go, who am I? Because, especially, how people knew me was so connected to the fun guy,
the fun guy, yeah.
Yeah, get my buzz on, and here it is. Oh man, Jason's coming, and it's going to be a good time. And after that, and not wanting to play that role for people, boy, that was like, like, who am I? What, you know, at my core, who am I? What are my values? What is my morality? What, you know, what, integrity, boy, what is that? How do I even establish integrity?
Right. No clue. No clue.
Yeah. So it's that thing that I think is such an important piece. And I don't know about you when I speak, especially to youth. I don't speak any younger than juniors and seniors. Usually it's the wheelhouse I like to stick with. Integrity is a big piece. You know, it's incredibly important.
Absolutely. Yeah. In previous podcasts that you were, you know, platforms you were on, you had mentioned you struggle with self-harm.
Mm-hmm.
Can you elaborate on that and what that looked like for you?
Sure. I was about 15, 16 years old. And oddly enough, you know, I would say my first addiction definitely was the pornography. And there was a time where it wasn't there. It wasn't available. And I was going through, you know, puberty, all this confusion and these hormones, and yet feeling the shame of that stuff from childhood. And I don't remember how, when, what it started, but yeah, I mean, I carved into my arm and some into my back. It, you know, it was with a razor blade, really thin. So it wasn't like I was doing deep scarification or anything. I think there's still some left on my left arm, but it was to feel something different. You know, it was a shifting of pain is the best way I can put it. I hurt so much in here and in here that it was like, you know, the radiating out of that pain. And yeah, I haven't done as much work to understand that. And I've not really spoken with a psychologist about it. So I don't want to say anything that is incorrect. But for me, that's what I was feeling. I just felt like so much confusion and shame and pain. And I wanted to feel a different kind of pain in a different way, because I would get at times incredibly numb. And that's one of the things that I tell people that, you know, I wasn't trying to numb out when I was using. I was trying to feel something because I was numb the rest of the time.
Right.
Like it was the only time that I was happy, joyful, whatever it was, which is all
Free.
Free, right? Like I could just be me. I don't have to worry about everybody else because I am a people pleaser at heart. And so it was the only time that it seemed that I can do this my way. I can have fun how I want to have fun. And boy, talk about selfish. But yeah, the cutting, it was that a shifting of the pain.
Absolutely. For years, I've tried to wrap my head around being in that position of so much emotional pain that you need physical pain as a release to feel something different, to feel anything. And Amanda has experience with that as well. Her oldest son struggled with cutting. You want to share on that and what you've learned from that experience?
Yeah. I don't understand it.
She got emotional listening to you. She goes, I get that.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. There's a level of suppression. You know, I think we all kind of suppress feeling. Our parents, I know with my kids, you know, before I was really thoughtful with my parenting, temper tantrums arise and, you know, emotions get high and I'm stop it, shut it down. So I think we get to a point where we kind of suppress for so long that, yeah, we're trying to feel again.
So for parents out there that are worried about their kids, how did you find out your son was doing that?
So I don't want to talk too much about it because it's his personal story. And I think there's so much power found in telling your own story. But as for from a parent's perspective, it was definitely, it was a question of where did my child learn to hate himself so much? Where did he learn to do these types of things? And it was really a mirror, right? Like it was, you know, I had been punishing myself for all the things I put him through my active addiction. And that mentality kind of bled into his mind. So the best thing that I could do at the time was just really how to figure out how to find self-forgiveness and to be able to kind of portray that so that he can someday find it for himself.
Absolutely. So when you were doing that, Jason, were there other people in your life that were exhibiting the same behaviors that you could confide in and talk about? Because what I found is, and there's a community of cutters, self-mutilators. They'll share pictures of their cuts. They'll talk about their disgust for themselves and why they do it, and they just feed off each other, and it's just a horrible thing. Is that something you experienced, or were you very secretive about it?
Oh, I was very secretive about it. I was a kid because I'm still like, $170 soaking wet at 6'3". So I was a very skinny kid. So I tended to hide my body anyways. I had a lot of body shame from a very young age because I didn't look like the Hulk Hogan's and Ultimate Warriors that were my heroes, or
same era.
yeah, or the beefcake guy or whatever,
Brutus beefcake.
Well, and I'm talking even like I have a vivid memory. My mom and her girlfriends going to Chippendales, and the next morning I see the little like catalog thing, and they're in the bow ties, and they're all waxed and shiny in the muscles, and it's like there's something about that left me feeling empty too, in addition to seeing hardcore pornography at 6-7 years old. So it was a lot of body image issues. I hated my body. I couldn't gain weight. Didn't matter. I was a kid that ate like 20,000 calories a day, 2 gallons of milk a week, and it didn't matter. My body wasn't changing no matter what I put into it. So it was a lot of that thinking that I was less because of how I looked. So no, I hid it well. I don't think I started talking about it openly until probably the podcast that maybe you caught it on that I talked about.
Christy,
I believe that's
Collier.
the first time. Yeah, Christy. Yeah, the first time I really spoke openly.
I appreciate your transparency. Can you relate to what most of us feel like? We have that emptiness inside of us. We just don't feel whole from the beginning. Whatever activating events, or maybe we're just born that way. Do you relate to that?
100, Higgy. I mean, from the time I was a kid, I just did not. I didn't feel like I fit anywhere. I felt like an oddball. Very few places did I feel comfortable. I always kind of felt seen, not heard, so to speak. And there was very few places that, looking back, that ever felt like safe havens. I had a few families, and my mom is amazing. I mean, she was the mama bear, me and my brother, she would, you don't mess with her kids. But really home wasn't home. I didn't really start feeling a sense of home until the last 6 months of my life, which is kind of sad, now 43, but I got there.
Yeah.
So it was just always felt just out of place. I was short and skinny, and then I became tall and skinny. I had a learning disability. I'm dyslexic. Didn't know till 8th grade that there was a teacher that caught on. So I felt stupid. I felt just out of place. That the cute girl in my mind never paid attention to me, whereas there were so many other sweet girls that were nice to me, but it was because of that one. So I think I just had this negative frame of mind from a very early age.
Wow, I can relate to that as well. I had a turbulent home life as well, but I relate to so much of what you're saying, and even if our addictions are different, our struggles, how it makes us feel about ourselves is exactly the same. Unworthy of love, just self-hatred, self-loathing, disgust, feeling the feeling of hopelessness. And Charlie in the clip that I showed was talking about drinking that big glass of vodka and just sitting back and waiting, and that feeling of never came, that feeling of relief. And he said, now this is what hopelessness feels like. This isn't working anymore, but I'm not going to stop doing that. Yeah. We're chasing that illusion, that elusive sense of freedom, and when I was in my addiction, that was my identity. It consumed every waking moment and most of my sleeping moments as well, with the nightmares, the night terrors and all of that. Just it was such a horrendous way to live, and waking up and being racked with anxiety and pain before I even opened my eyes. Such a torturous existence.
Yeah. And yet, for whatever reason, our brain is in this pattern of, but I really want to get back there. And that is the scary part. Like, I look back, and Charlie, I think it was the second time that I spoke with Charlie Sheen. He put it well. He goes, yeah, I have this intrusive thought that'll enter my mind, like, oh, it's fine if I just have some, scotch with water and ice. And he goes, then eventually it'll become ice is for injury, water is for fish, F it, and it's all out. And then it's the full bottle, and you're sitting there pounding it, and you still haven't gotten the result that you were hoping to get.
Yeah. So he was talking about waking up, and he was missing his couple teeth. Yeah. His girlfriend was gone. Everything was in disarray. He had to call the hotel to find out what city he was in. Dallas? Last I remember was Idaho or something like that. That's so, that's just, I can't think of the right word I want to use, but that's so similar to everybody else's story that struggled and suffered the way we did. We end up in these horrible, horrible situations, and we make this decision to not do it to ourselves anymore, but lacking commitment, back to it, and there were so many times that I found myself defenseless against that first drink, that first drug. And I'm still trying to figure out what preemptive measures to put in place.
Sure.
Relapse is a part of my story, and I don't relapse because of something horrible. A lot of times it's boredom. It's thinking I can have just one because I enjoyed it so much before, and I keep going back to that time when I had no consequences. And when I tell myself nobody will know, that's that great big lie. Just one more. Nobody will ever know. Well, for me, it shows up right here in my eyes, and people know right away because my eye color changes. I get this hollow, void look on my face, and I'm just not me, and I'm not happy. I cannot find joy in my life anywhere. No satisfaction, no contentment, no peace, no tranquility, no serenity, nothing. Just pure hell. Can you relate to that?
Yeah, it's that absolute nothing is ever good enough. And I can. And, I've had a couple of people that I wouldn't necessarily call them sponsees, but they're working the process and reaching out. And one of them asked me about what's the restored to sanity about? And I went, I got a story for you. So Knockin Doorz Down, of course, was started by Carlos Vieira. His autobiography is Knockin Doorz Down. So that's how I got into doing the podcast and the title of the podcast. Well, he has a company, 5150, that I do ring announcing for their MMA events. And it might have been the one Chuck Liddell was at as our special guest, actually. And so I've got
that pic I'm going to show later. I'd like for you to, I got a couple pictures I'd like to show you with some of your guests, sure, and you kind of elaborate on what you learned from them, what they shared about. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. You're good. So at that event, my thing in my defense is I get a tonic water with lime. That way I can go, I'm good. So it's about 3 matches left, and I asked for my tonic with lime. Well, they deliver me a vodka tonic with lime, and being that I couldn't smell it, I take a huge swig. I do swallow it, and I immediately go into a panic attack. And it is in the middle of a match, and I'm sitting here, and it was just this quick, the way the thoughts went. It was, I could get away with this. The people that do know that I'm a drinker, they don't have a problem with it, but they are drinking, so I could probably hide it from them. I could sober up before I get home and see my girlfriend and kids, and I can just have one. And before it was a conscious thought, I said it to the ring girls that are sitting next to me. One of them goes, "Are you okay?" And I go, "No, I'm having a start of a panic attack. I'm in recovery for alcoholism. They brought me a vodka and tonic." One of them, she was mad, and she comes back and she goes, "Well, where's that drink?" And I go, "It's already in the garbage."
Good for you.
I played it out. I knew what was going to happen. It wouldn't be just one. I wouldn't get home. The people that are there that have supported me would immediately know. And I would screw up everything that I built just like that in an instant. So I think that is what, when we talk about that restored to sanity piece that comes in, is just that ability to take a look at myself, know how it's going to go, because it's not going to go any different.
You've done your research.
This time would be no different. You know, and then when I would start wallowing in self-pity. I would blow up my relationship. My kids, who I've reconnected with and have solid bonds with, that would absolutely start to suffer. And for what? Because I need to feel that thing? No, come on, that's BS.
Props to you, bro. Props to you. My first thought with vodka is nobody will smell it.
Exactly. I couldn't smell it. That's the thing.
I can justify anything.
Yeah, that's why I took the drink. I couldn't smell it. I didn't know any different.
It's their fault. They gave it.
And they felt bad. They were. I mean, they have apologized several times. Like, it's okay, because I got a good lesson out of it. Right. It tested the mastery of self. Because at the end of the day, you know, I have you know, so many people. The friendship you and I've created, Higgy, Amanda. I look forward to getting to know you. My sponsor, he is awesome. He knows how to call me on my BS just like that. But at the end of the day, I have to watch it. I have to defend me against me.
Absolutely. I love your logo for Knockin Doorz Down. Look for this logo on Facebook. Anywhere you can find Knockin Doorz Down. This is very distinguishable. This is our man Jason LaChance. Hold on. This is our boy here. You would Edward Furlong.
Yeah.
What was your from Terminator fame? What was your takeaway from your interview with him?
I don't know if Edward's. He's awesome. He just is himself. If you listen to that, he you know, he's, I wouldn't say over the top, but it's just his personality is his personality, and he owns it, and he owns his bull, you know, most of all. That was the most enlightening part of talking with him. I mean, intelligent guy,
fame at a young age, and you know, access to everything out there in Hollywood.
Yep.
You know, he is a success story because he made it out of that with his life. So many people don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was on that similar path with, you know, the heroin and everything else. And I think it's just, again, that insecurity, unstable childhood that he had, that he was perfectly typecast to play John Connor in Terminator 2. You know, his life had a lot of parallels. And, you know, when you don't have that trusting environment or someone to sit and kind of call you on your stuff when you're a kid, I think that's probably why it took me so long to maybe fall to substance abuse. Was, you know, my mom was pretty good and transparent. You know, she shared something with me recently that was amazing. She said, I said, "Well, Mom, I remember you drinking when I was a kid." She goes, "Yeah, but did you ever see me drunk?" And I went, "No." And she goes, "That's why I stopped drinking. I knew I had what your grandfather had. I couldn't get drunk." My mom's 5 feet tall, 5 feet 5'1". And she's like, I could drink just as much as the men, and I wasn't feeling anything. And that's when it was like, this is not for me. You know, so anyways, didn't mean to segue away from Edward, but him not having that, he really talks about that. He didn't have that person there at home, at least one. You know, he kind of bounced around, and then I think he was 16, 17 when he was totally living on his own, got emancipated. And, you know, so there was just that ego feel. Like you said, he was a kid and he was famous. So, you know, without having someone there and that trust, I mean, goodness, it was the perfect recipe to fall to what he fell to.
Absolutely. I still love the Terminator movies.
Oh yeah, I think I own them all. Like you need to own a movie anymore.
Do you have a massive DVD collection?
Yeah, I went to film and television school. My radio broadcasting career was a fluke. So yeah, I've got hundreds and hundreds of movies.
What was your greatest takeaway? Oh, that first off, Charlie is he's got multiple issues going on in his life, and he chose a path in recovery because of all the devastation. He's dealing with HIV, alcoholism, the mental health piece, and just coming out in the public with all of this stuff and being transparent. I have great admiration for that. And he's a funny dude, man. He can tell a story, right?
He's hilarious. That's why I look at it. I just laugh because he is. And it comes with that intelligence. I mean, he really is. If you listen to both parts of the conversations we had with Charlie, just a really bright, very intelligent guy. He seems to have a mind that he absorbs whatever it takes in, especially reading. He reads a large variety of books, so he's a very inquisitive guy, and I think that might even play into the some of the substance stuff. As you know, a lot of people that fall into addiction are incredibly intelligent people.
Absolutely.
Let's break that paradigm that it's just some nitwit, for lack of a better term, or something. No, sure. It's very intelligent people, especially emotionally. We've experienced so much, right?
Yeah, exactly. I believe that we all feel a lot deeper.
Yeah.
Than the rest of the population. I've been told over the years that I'm an empath, and it took me actually doing some research and doing some spiritual work here with the Reiki energy healing and so on and so forth to actually embrace that fact, because I can feel things and I don't know why. And I think that caused me a lot of issues, early in life, because I didn't know where these feelings were coming from. And I was absorbing other people's energy. There's chaos in my home, and I was just always on edge, and I was never, I couldn't sit still. I was always tugging at my clothes, trying to get comfortable and tapping my leg, and then I just didn't know that this was even a thing. But people that struggle with addiction and trauma and stuff like that, I believe we're highly sensitive to other people's energies.
Oh, I 100% agree. Couldn't agree more. One of the things I didn't talk about from my childhood is my mom had thyroid cancer, and seeing her sick, that was a really, really tough thing. And I think that's one of those first points. I mean, I would have to ask her. I don't really remember myself too much in childhood, but I think where I started to get a little bit more, I've got to be a certain way and kind of help be a puzzle piece, some sort of glue with certain things and keep things, copacetic and not really try to make waves and, those things. And so, but back to Charlie, some of the great stuff was conversations that weren't on the podcast, that their stuff wasn't rolling, that, I mean, the man, there's a lot of things, and it's one of the downsides of social media. I guess it's how you use it. I don't use it this way. I don't understand slandering someone that I don't know.
The whole purpose of a troll.
Not having a discussion not having a discussion on differences of opinion or whatever it is. But he really owns everything that he did and holds a lot of remorse, there. And I see a man that's trying to do everything he can by living amends. I don't know what kind of verbal amends. Yeah, he's made to people. Obviously couldn't disclose a lot of stuff. With the HIV diagnosis, he was incredibly transparent. We went through it, what his experience was, what he felt, and he very much wanted to share that so it could help someone, and help them understand. And he owns his selfishness in it all. So, I think that's really important to take away, because there's a lot of people that just saw an image or a small clip and started slamming the man, which I can get some anger, but if it wasn't someone, if he didn't directly affect you, I guess I don't. And hopefully those people would keep that stuff private where it'd be a one-on-one. So, and he even said it to me. He's like, I expect the stuff they're going to say it. It's just, he's like, I've heard it all. I've heard it all.
Absolutely.
And that didn't stop him. It didn't stop him from coming on and sharing.
That's a beautiful thing, man. I mean, that's, like you said, living amends. That's it right there. Prime definition. This next photo is somebody I admire. Oops, wrong one. that guy too.
Chuck.
Man, wow. I grew up watching him from his early days in Pride all the way through the UFC. I just love watching him fight. I follow him on social media today.
Yeah.
What was your takeaway from your interview with Chuck?
The digging in of childhood, because you want to know how does a champion like this, especially in combat sports, born, created, and you could just hear that it's weird. On one hand, he didn't want to put up with any bull, and on the other hand, he seemed to be the most empathetic guy all at the same time, which is the oddity of humans, right? We try to classify and pigeonhole people. A kind heart, but he understands his boundary, and he's going to make it clear when you've pushed it. And that doesn't necessarily mean with his fists, although, I guess it could come to that. But like he said, I fight when I get paid for it, but
Right.
I don't take any stuff because I'm not going to take it in my life. And Chuck was going through a hard time when he came in, and I don't want to speak on it. I don't know how much it's out there, his marital issues and stuff.
I read some stuff, some articles about what was going on, and I had asked you why you don't do more Facebook Live interviews, and you said because people share some deeply intimate secrets about their lives, and some of that stuff doesn't need to be put out there. It's just you get the whole story, and people feel comfortable in speaking with you and sharing these things, and you definitely have a gift. You have a gift of gab. You just got an empathetic heart, and then you can relate to so much. And you're like me; we like to extract the story to make people feel comfortable in sharing their hurts, habits, hangups, whatever it may be, in the hopes that somebody will hear what they have to say and know that they too can recover and not continue to live in that vicious cycle of addiction, abuse, whatever their hurt or habit is. I think it's a really powerful thing to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And I want to. This is my. I neglected to add the picture of my guy Andy Roy, but this is his friend. Brandon Novak.
Yeah.
From the Jackass crew. They're great friends and whatnot. And Bam Major is part of that crew as well. What was your takeaway from your interview with Brandon?
Got to speak with Brandon twice, once by himself. And then that picture, of course, is at Castle Bam. We went out to Pennsylvania for that one.
That's a dope symbol in the background. Do you have any idea what that means?
Yeah, the heartogram.
Heartogram.
Yeah, that's Bam. I mean, Bam still uses it. The band Him used it, which Bam, as I recollect, was a big part of bringing him to the United States. Danish band. Gosh, someone's gonna slam me right now. They're like, "No, you don't even know," and you worked in radio. But yeah, that was you could see it, of course, on Viva La Bam, and Brandon just one of those wow people, right? The depths. I mean, you've been there.
He has depth to him.
Yeah,
isn't present, and just looking at him or, seeing what he's done with his past. He's an author. He's a motivational speaker. He's a professional skateboarder. He has sober living homes in Maryland now. He's got a lot of stuff going on. And I've been, blessed with being able to do events with him and whatnot and hang out, do some video stuff. He's just really welcoming and funny.
Yeah.
Very articulate.
Yeah, transparent, and he's one of those examples. Don't judge a book by its cover. For all intents and purposes, he shouldn't be here. I mean, how many of us shouldn't? Are in recovery, and just there was nothing about him that felt like a facade. That it was an act. Very warm, very welcoming. Just easy to get along with, easy to jive with.
He was talking about he had relapsed after his first book was published, and he stole a whole box of books and was running around town trying to sell them just so he could cop. It's a book on recovery from addiction, and he's trying to get high, selling it. Just that paradox. That's the insanity of it. All right.
That's that lack of integrity, right? It's like, how less integral can less of integrity can you have? Hey guys, will you buy my book on sobriety? Sure, I'll autograph it for 10 more bucks. Great. All right, now I'm gonna go buy another bag.
You get a twofer.
Yeah. Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Is there anything you would like to say? We're coming up on about 50 minutes. I don't want to go, too long. I want to leave a little bit so that I get you to come back. But
okay.
What would you like to say to someone out there that is struggling, new in recovery, doesn't know if this is for them, and they don't know how to go about reaching out for help?
Yeah, boy. How do you keep that short? Hope. There's always hope. And, don't come into this thinking that the opposite of addiction is sobriety. It's not. It's community and connectivity. And when you start, be open-minded too. A certain group or a counselor or a sponsor, you're not going to find the right fit right away. Enjoy the experimentation of sobriety, finding your tribe, your people. I found it more that mine's across the country, and we exchange text messages and become friends. That's become more my thing.
Avoid that box, right? Recovery is not a cookie cutter thing. It's not one size fits all for everybody. There's multiple pathways, right?
Yep. Yeah. And there's certain things you're just not gonna fix, because you can't heal in the place you got hurt. That was a big thing for me, just recognizing that, and that helped create my boundaries. And the most important boundaries I created were with myself. And so at the end of the day, I think, it's about mastery of self. And this is just as we experimented and pushed the boundaries and went to the deepest, darkest places, we get to experiment and push to the most joyful, brightest, genuine, loving, beautiful places now. And what works for me may not work for you. I'm a guy kind of got to sit there, even if it's not written out, like, throw out my gratitudes, whatever they are. If it's 3, if it's 5 things, just start to focus just a little bit at a time and chip away. And you're going to start to unlock something. And as you get to know yourself more, you're like, wow, I kind of like myself. When did this happen? This is pretty cool.
Right.
And then you're going to find you can just connect with different people. So just keep that hope going. And no matter what, we don't use not a drink, not a drug, not another person.
Absolutely.
And you got to learn that defense against you, because at the end of the day, this is you against you. And I believe in you. I know you can do it. I done it. Higgy's done it. Amanda's done it. And, it don't sit in a shame cycle. Hey, you fall off. Hand up, who's fallen off, right? Yeah, so many of us. Yeah, but if we can't sit and continue to go back to those old feelings of how we saw ourselves. So, gosh, just do the work. Do the work. It's cool. It's fun. It gets exciting.
It's overwhelming in the beginning, but once you start to process, you're like, wow, you start connecting dots, right?
Yeah.
And in getting to know yourself, you understand why you went through what you did, and how to flip that into an asset. You know, I shared the meme you made with Robert Downey Jr. About hitting rock bottom.
Yeah.
You know, it's not about sitting in shame. It's about realizing that you're allowed to make mistakes and be forgiven for them. Just pick yourself up and keep pushing forward. You know, there's no perfect humans here. I mean, if you're perfect, you're not allowed to be on here with me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what anybody's spiritual faith is or perspective. As far as I know, that there was one person potentially that was perfect, and I'm not ready to meet him yet. If he exists,
I'm not either.
Yeah, so
we've got work to do, my friend, for sure.
Yes, sir.
Amanda, would you like to say anything in closing?
This is awesome, guys. I'm glad to just sit here and listen. It's beautiful. You guys are like super inspirational today. I was like, wow.
Really good show,
It's
y'all.
nice meeting you.
Please go check out Knockin Doorz Down. Follow them on YouTube, Facebook. Follow Jason LaChance on Facebook, Instagram. The Instagram pages are Knockin Doorz Down, Pain Nonprofit, and CrueCast. And before we close,
sure,
what is your favorite Motley Crue song?
Oh,
not that.
You're asking like, you know, I don't know, which one of my kids upset me today? I'll tell you what my favorite is. You know, I gotta probably say it's Primal Scream, not just because of the music, but the lyrics. And I've always loved, if you want to live life on your own terms, you got to be willing to crash and burn. At one time, that meant something to me that was self-destructive, and now it means something completely different.
It's ambiguous, man.
Yeah, and so the way that we can change our mindset, it's the cool thing about art. The way we saw it, heard it, it can become something different when we start to change the way we think.
One more thing.
Yeah.
How did you end up in sitting in that chair from the past you had with your video work and stuff like that? How did you end up in a podcast chair? I should have asked that earlier. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Because I've seen so many pictures, you know, you from a young age with all these celebrities, musicians, and people that I recognize. Like, how cool is that?
So I was going to college in Monterey at the film school there at Cal State University, Monterey Bay. Was out one night, friends band, they're getting set up. They had some issues. I started telling some jokes. Guy who's still one of my best friends in the world, who's also found sobriety, comes up to me and goes, you're pretty funny. You want to work in radio? And I said, you want to buy me a Jack and Coke? And we became fast friends. And so I had about a 20-year radio career. And then, of course, Carlos Vieira, who wrote the book Knockin Doorz Down, which is his story, overcoming his cocaine addiction and starting his nonprofit and everything in the aftermath of it. That was him finding a purpose for his addiction. We had become friends, I think, maybe a year after he got sober. He started racing stock cars, short track stock cars here. And as a fan of motorsports, grew up around it. Both my dad and brother raced. We just developed a friendship over the years. And I had asked him to, sponsor, I think it was CrueCast, which was the second podcast I ever started. And he went, I got a better idea. And so he threw this out to me, and it was like, wow, okay. Anxiety and everything was racing, but to look back, like, wow, it was just, I knew I needed a change in my life. I love radio, but I needed something that filled me more, and I think represented something with a greater purpose. And I wanted to show my kids, the power of transformation too. I got 2 teenagers now, and yeah, so Carlos just threw that out there, and he's one of those guys. Okay, let's make this thing as big as we can, and you know, off to the races.
The
And
rest is history, right?
yeah, 2.5 years later. Yeah, 2.5 years later. 3 years in March. Yeah, it's crazy.
You've covered a lot of ground, my friend.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, yeah, as far as parents and addicts in need, that came about through interviewing Flint on the podcast, the founder there, who was an opioid addict for, boy, a long time. He was
what an intelligent guy he is, right?
Yes, that's someone you got to talk to sometime as well. You know, because I know I made him aware of you, and he goes, "How do we talk to him? We'll work it out. Give it time."
We'll work it out for sure.
But boy, what a champion in the fight. And he's got that skill set to stand in both worlds of the addict as well as the people that are reforming legislation, law enforcement. He just has that ability to cross those paths. And you know, Jim Patterson, who's an assemblyman here, he's now been assigned to a task force or whatever it would be on the fentanyl crisis here in California. So
that's,
you know,
true advocacy right there.
Yep. So Flint is one of those people that sits really close with them to make some stuff happen. Look at this handsome guy,
Randy.
Hi, Randy.
He's a human Jack in the Box.
I love it.
You never know when he's going to spring up. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna bring this to an end. Thank you, bro. We need about 3 more of those.
Yeah, right.
Thank you for being here, brother. Thank you for taking the time. This has been great. I've been feeding off your energy. I feel amazing myself right now. So thank you for your honesty, your transparency, and just sharing some of your journey with us. And will you come back again?
Oh, absolutely. And thank you, Higgy. I mean, just to let people know that, you know, I've gone through some periods of wanting to maybe give up. And I don't mean on my sobriety, but, you know, am I on the right path, doing the right thing? And then you know, Higgy shoots me a message here, and, oh, Jody, thank you. And then Higgy shoots me a text message, and it's, you know, brother, I love you. Keep going. And, you know, it's like that revitalization. So that's that community I talk about. And I just love you. And I appreciate you. And you're a beautiful human being, and all the stuff you've been through, good and bad. And, you know, just keep being Higgy, man, because I see my friends sharing so much of your stuff, and it's like, I know that guy. You do? And I'm like, yes, trust me.
Thank you for saying that. I mean, I struggle with purpose, you know, in the last couple of years, and you're helping me in so many ways, and jumping on here with me helped me get back in the saddle again. You know, this is one of my passions. I like extracting the story. I like sharing a message of hope, and that's you to a T as well. So anything I can do for you in the future, let me know. I got
Likewise.
you. I got your 6, bro.
Likewise. I love you, brother.
I love you too. We're gonna end this right here.